on this main road, just go ahead and step on it, see what you think.
Do 0 to 60?
Yeah.
All right. So this is 0 to 60.
You might want to get turned first.
All righty. So this is 7 to 60. I've got a car behind me, so 60. 80. I'm stop there.
It's pretty crazy. It's called the Tesla grin, man.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty consistent.
Accelerating itself too. Yeah. It's so strange to watch the steering wheel do the steering while I'm doing nothing too.
Wow, it's super conservative on this turn. Wants you to touch again.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Yeah, it went. Now, was there a sign that said like 35 for that turn or something? Because, man, that thing slowed way down for that turn.
Yeah. I don't think there was, but
maybe it just looked at it and decided. It's usually pretty conservative. Yeah, so if it makes that noise, that means you tugged a little too hard and took it out of autopilot. You can just put it back in if you want, or you can step on it if you want, whatever.
I'd like to step on it. Whew.
Did you get 90 or not quite?
Not quite 90.
It was close. It was 85 or something.
No, it was 88. So
okay, there you go.
We're right up where we probably shouldn't be, but
This is Laramie State Park. It's a beautiful lake. There's this massive hill. Well, you can see over across the way that one's not as steep as the one I just came up, though. This hill that I just came up was super steep. This U-Haul, I got behind it as soon as I got on this highway 287, I think. It's gonna save my butt. Without this U-Haul, I'm not sure if I make it because I was a little overconfident. Now I'm getting a little tight. Got 90 miles of rated range and 32 miles of actual range needing to go, and I've been using, so far on this trip, so once I got down the mountain, I've been using 3 miles of range for every 1 mile of actual distance. So if you look at the math on that, it's going to be down to 0 if that trend continues. So it's going to get tight. I'm a little nervous, but I think it's going to work out okay, but it's going to be close. It has just been up and up and up and up. And hopefully at the top of this ridge up here, we're going to start going down because it's going to get tight. So I got 25 miles and down to only 67 miles of rated range. So yeah, I need some downhill pretty bad. Okay, I just found out from Siri that Laramie, Wyoming, which is where I'm going, is at 7,100 feet of elevation, and Fort Collins, Colorado, which is where I, was the bottom of the mountain, so that's where I calculated from when I charged last, is at 5,000 feet. So I'm gaining 2,000 feet of elevation, and I did not account for that in this little trip. I only took in like 221 miles of range at my last charging because I was going to go down like 2,000 feet, and I figured I'd pick up some range. But I had the windows open, and I wasn't driving super efficiently, and I didn't pick up any range. I basically broke even. So yeah, it's going to be tight. I'm at 62. Sorry, let me zoom out. 62 miles of rated range and 23 miles of needed range, so it's gonna be close. I am finally going downhill though, so that helps a little bit. But it doesn't look like I'm gonna be going down long and it'll be flat again. So we're not doing like going downhill or flat. The rated range started to level off and quit dropping like a rock. I'm feeling pretty good at this point, as long as there's not another uphill and it doesn't look like there's much in the way of anything going up. Laramie, Wyoming. 32 miles of rated range remaining, so it wasn't quite as bad as I feared. It finally flattened out and the consumption went down, but for a minute I got nervous. I had to turn the AC off and overheat, and yeah, it got close. Beautiful Wyoming countryside here, coming close to sunset, or maybe just after sunset, I'm not sure. 7:30, so I don't think it's sunset yet, but beautiful open country. I'm driving through Ogden, Utah. It is 100 degrees here. I have the AC set to 80. Just try to say halfway reasonable. So I just had a cone, like a construction cone. Somebody hit it further up and it was like rolling on the side of the road. But then when this truck in front of me went by it, the wind from him going by it sucked it over. And right in front of me, there was no avoiding it because I was in a construction area, so I couldn't go to the left because there was more construction cones. And I couldn't go to the right. There was a little bit of a shoulder, but I couldn't go over there fast enough. I was maybe following a little too closely, but because the cone was coming from that side. So it was coming from the right to the middle. So there was literally nowhere to go. So I hit the brakes, but I still hit it probably 65, 60 miles an hour. And it like bounced under me. I'm super kicking myself that I don't have that I never bought a USB drive to put in the Tesla because it records, then I could just download. Oh, but as far as damage goes, I did stop and look. Once I had to keep driving until I got out of the construction because there was no way to pull over. I mean, I would have jammed up the entire interstate. No need to do that for that type of incident. So once I got out of the construction a couple miles later, I pulled over. There's definitely some scuffs and some scratches on the front bumper, but honestly, it could have been a lot worse. It might buff out. It might need to be repainted, but it doesn't look, it doesn't look horrendous. It looks relatively fixable. It's just part of it. Alright guys, I picked up the flash drive. I've formatted it according to the instructions found on YouTube so that it will pull down, but it does not, according to everything I've read, it does not record anything unless you already had this in as you were driving. So I'll try it out, but I think I am out of luck to get that, but at least I'll have it for if anything else happens. Twin Falls, Idaho. Some people kayaking all the way down there. Pretty heavy wind out of the north, mostly north. Check out those cliff faces. I wonder if anybody does any deep water soloing out of there. I don't know if that's legal or not. That's so overhung, it might be impossible to get out. I'll have to look that up. Beautiful. Never would have known this was here. I would have just driven right by it if I didn't have to stop and charge. Good morning. I am at Trail Break RV Park. I believe it's in Glen Falls, Idaho, if I'm remembering that correctly, but it's between Boise and Twin Falls. And I had a very nice night here. And it's for a 30 amp, it's $30 a night. So if you are traveling between Boise and Twin Falls and need a place to stay, I highly recommend it. I did find something important out while I was here, and that is that a regular RV 30 amp to 50 amp adapter does not work for plugging in the car if you have a 50 amp because you have the 50 amp car adapter. So do not waste your money on buying a 30 to 50 amp adapter. If you're driving a Tesla, it's a waste of time and money. It does not work. I've got 70 miles to go, and just left Trails Break RV. I've got a massive headwind. Got rated range of 213 miles. I've got 70 miles to go. Normally that would be no issue at all, but I'm going 55, 50 now, and got a pretty heavy headwind coming at me. So that's gonna make it more interesting. I am gonna turn to the right here a little bit and head more north, and the wind, it looks to be, if I can tell by the stuff going by, maybe straight out of the west, so maybe it won't hit me straight head on once I make that turn and go like I'm going northwest. So I was wrong. That wind is coming straight, almost straight out of the northwest. Maybe a little more west than north, but yeah, northwest basically. So I'm gonna have a straight headwind. Past a flag, that's how I can tell. I'm gonna have a straight headwind, trying to get into Boise. And it's blowing pretty good, I would guess 15 to 20 miles an hour. Shucks, got a turn here. So it's gonna be very interesting. I've got an appointment with a customer, with a Camp Life customer there at noon, so I don't have a lot of flexibility. I need to get there. It's 10:30, so I've got a little bit of extra time, but not a lot, so it's gonna be interesting. Tracking behind this trailer, going 68 miles an hour. You can see 765 watts per mile, 166 miles of rated range, and I've got roughly 58, 60 miles, probably about 60 miles to go, maybe 55. So it's dropping fast, man. It's dropping fast. I've gone, let's see, I had 220 miles of rated range or so when I left, so I've gone 20 miles and I've used coming up on 60 miles of rated range. I may have to slow down when I get closer and just try to, go super slow, because it's rough with all this wind. So I pulled this up. It's the range over the last 30 miles. I should do 15. So it's giving me 51 miles of rated range, 50 miles now, and I actually have 50 miles to go, not 55 luckily. But I've got 50 miles projected range, and I've got 50 miles to go. So once we get a little closer, I'm going to have to find side roads, because that's just not going to cut it. The thing that makes this particularly sketchy is that even if I make it, let's say I make it where I'm going, there's a slow charger there that they said most of the time, on Plexure, they said most of the time it's either blocked by, gas cars, or someone's using it. So even if I make it, I may or may not be able to plug in at that location, and then from there, I'm still like 10 miles to the supercharger. So if I get there and I'm down to 5%, then it's very questionable whether I can make it to the supercharger if I can't charge there. So it's not just getting there, it's getting there and having a place to charge once I get there. It just feels like we're going up and up and up. I don't know if you can tell that there's an incline, but I've been climbing a big hill. Hopefully it's downhill once we get over this from here to on into Boise. I've got 68 miles of rated range. I know this thing said this is not my arrival point, 8 miles away. I still got like 6 or 7 miles past that. It's just a waypoint where I want to make sure and get off and go off, on the side road. Let's see what our energy is looking like. So 26 miles of rated range. And like I said, I've got about 16 miles to go, roughly. So, yeah, we're going to make it. We're just not going to have any battery left when we get there. See that flag? That wind going directly against me. That's what I've been fighting against. Yeah, the cruise at 35 miles an hour. hour. As you can see, it is mostly downhill from here on into Boise. So we're going to be good. We're hardly going to use any range between now and getting into town because we're just going downhill the whole way and I'm going slow. So like you can see, I'm regenning right now. So I'll be basically break even or use a little bit of energy. So we're going to be all right. This is what driving slow and downhill does for you. The last 5 miles, I've averaged 142 watts per mile. Estimated range 77 miles. With a rated range of 45 miles, but it's just because I'm going slow and going downhill. Hey guys, here's the plan. I am in Boise, Idaho. I'm gonna go up to Grangeville. That's 200 miles away. And there are no superchargers out there, but I got a reservation at a campground, but I don't know if I can make it 200 miles. But somewhere along the way, and shucks, it's not on here, but there's a Roseberry Plaza. I think it's near McCall or Cascade or somewhere. Anyway, there's a place I found on PlugShare called Roseberry Plaza, and that has a Tesla destination charger. So I'll stop there, grab a bite to eat, and hopefully get enough to top me off to get to Grangeville. It's gonna be a little bit intense because we're going out into the middle of nowhere without superchargers, but I think we'll figure it out. I saw a sign that said something about I-95 closed, and that reminded me that Bill had told me that there had been a rock fall and you better check and make sure it's open. And I was like, oh crap, that's gonna totally ruin this section because that's the only way to go. But I called the campground. She said, no, there's a detour around it. It's not a big deal. Check it out. I have a 1,000-mile range. That's what happens when you go down a massive hill. That's only on a 5-mile average, so I've been going downhill obviously that entire time. I'll put it on a 30-mile. You can see it. You can see going up and coming back down. My range drops to 153. Major headwind issues again, probably a 20-mile-an-hour headwind. It's a storm, so maybe it'll be short-lived. Maybe once I hit the storm front, the wind will die down. But that thing said to stay, it went away now, but it said to stay below 55 miles an hour to reach the destination, so I slowed down. It is going to be tight. I got 75 miles and 138 miles of rated range, which is that's quite a bit tighter than I've been doing. And I've got a headwind, a heavy headwind. Probably 15, 20 mile an hour. So yeah, something's got to give. I don't even know if going 55 is going to cut it. But it is like 1,000 feet lower, although I've already come down probably at least 500 of that, if not the full 1,000. So I was hoping that would help me. But yeah, this wind is not good. Pretty mountains though. Firefighting helicopter. Dude, is it gonna dip right here? I don't know where it dips. That thing is awesome though. That is right above us. I think it must dip right there in the stream. It's incredible. That I'll be able to watch that right through the roof. miles to go, which admittedly my rated range has been dropping fairly quickly. I don't know, what a frustration. I mean, I'm getting out here where there's not a whole lot of options, to say the least. But I'm wondering, I mean, I am surprised how much rated range I'm using going downhill. It seems like it should be almost nothing, and yet it's still something. I don't know, I'll have to do a little research, I guess. See what the elevation is that I'm going to be at here in a minute. Maybe it's uphill into Grangeville. That might be what's going to get me. Alright, car is freaking out. I got 37 miles of rated range, 14 miles of actual range to go. And it keeps popping up. I mean, you can see that notification there, charging required, but then like it keeps popping up with like a warning screen too that I have to cancel out of. The only thing I can think of, well, two things. One thing, I've been going downhill and my stupid, I don't know why, it's using a ton of energy even when I'm going downhill. I guess maybe because I have my lights on. So I need to get rolling because I have my lights on right now. The other thing is, I think it's uphill from here on out. So I'm just gonna have to go super, super slow. 11 miles of rated range, 9.7 miles to get there. I've never been this tight. It's still very steep uphill. I'm still going too fast. I'm trying to slow down to 25, but it's just hard to go that slow. I truly don't know if I'm gonna make it. Finally set the cruise to 15 miles an hour. Should have done this a long time ago. I've got 5 miles of rated range left and 8.7 miles to go. It's not pretty. I don't know what else to do but to keep going. All right, I have dropped the trailer. Because that drops the lights, the trailer lights, and that drops obviously all the weight and the wind resistance of the trailer. So I'm hoping that that's enough to get me to the top of this mountain and down to the RV park. I'll plug in, probably could just go ahead and catch some sleep if I make it there, and then I will come back for the trailer. I just remembered I forgot to lock it. Shit. Oh, crap. I can't go back. Hopefully it'll be alright. I meant to lock it. Dang it. So I don't know if you can see that sign, but it says we are about to go downhill. So that is good. So I've got 1 mile of rated range left. I left my trailer back there, so that sucks. 0 miles of rated range. Still got like 9 miles, 7 miles to go. Going downhill now, at least. What a hassle. So I've been plugged in for about 5 minutes now. Still says 0 miles remaining. I drove for about 4 miles. Well, it said 0 miles remaining at the top of the mountain, but then I went downhill, so that doesn't really count. But once I got to the bottom of the hill, I was still driving flat or uphill for about 4 miles. Actually, it was slightly uphill and still into a headwind. That's what killed me. I figured it out. When I dropped the trailer, I got out and there's like a 10 to 15 mile an hour headwind that I didn't even realize. So that's why my consumption was so high even when I was going downhill, was that I had a big headwind, or a decent headwind. So yeah, that was extremely close. What I'm going to do, since I forgot to lock the trailer, is I'm going to sit here for, I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hours, then go back and get the trailer, and then come back. That way I'll have a trailer to use as far as getting some, you know, having a bed and not leaving my trailer on the side of the road and having AC if I need it. Well, I don't need AC, it's 58 degrees. Getting a shower, that kind of stuff. But man, this is the first time on this trip I was freaking out. Big time freaking out. I mean, that was freaking close. Whew. I was praying. It's a good thing I dropped the trailer. I don't think I make it with the trailer. In fact, I know I don't make it with the trailer because All right, that clock says 10:45, but I think that's actually Oregon time because we're close to the border. So it's really 11:45 Mountain time. 42 miles of range. I'm going to run back up, get the trailer, come back. My phone might die. My GoPro's already dead. My car almost died today. Had some low power issues today, but looking like we're gonna finish out okay, hopefully. Camper is still here. Back here, now got 27 miles rated range. So from 41 to 27, so it took me 13 to get here. Shouldn't take more than 13 to get back because it's mostly downhill. Oh my goodness, I am up here in the mountains. I'm at a place, I was at a place called, crap, what is the name of it? Beauville. I was at a place called Beauville, Idaho. I was going to a place called Elk Saloon because they had 50 amp charging that you could use. Well, then that post was on PlugShare in 2018. Well, the problem is that they had campers. There was a lot of problems. Number one, as I drove in, I could see that there were already campers parked using all their 50 amps. So that was already not ideal. Then I park behind this older looking camper, and this dude is there smoking a cigarette. He's drunk. Yeah, maybe not totally drunk, but definitely a little buzzed at minimum. His friend is decently buzzed. He's just all up in my grill, like all up in my face, telling me crap about what's going on, what you doing, where are you going, you know, and I grew up here, and you gotta have a CB, man. You gotta have a CB if you're gonna go up in these mountains. You gotta have a CB. These mountains are good. These are good mountains, but you gotta have a CB. Those logging trucks they'll come right around the corner, man. They'll just run you over. Anyway, probably good advice, but I wasn't really trying to go up there. Anyway, then I went in, I was like, well, I've got to at least ask, you know, if there's charging around here, like if there's a campground around here. So I go in, and they follow me in, and they're just riling up the whole place, and the bartender's like, holy crap. So I order some food, and ask if there's a campground when she gets a second, and the sheriff just passed. I wonder if he's gonna go. She stepped back in the back for a while, and I wouldn't be surprised if she called the police because those guys were getting out of control. But anyway, and I wouldn't want to be there by myself if I was her. Anyway, so yeah, so there's no campgrounds around here. They're not that they know of. I'm headed back down to Lewiston, so I went way the heck out of my way. Based on that PlugShare. In here in Moscow, at the University of Idaho, I believe. Yes, that's correct. So this may be the longest distance I ever went on a charge. 148.9 miles, 396 watts per mile. I'm going to be sitting here, I'm charging at 24 miles per hour. So I am going to be sitting here 23 miles per hour for 4 hours. Luckily, I'm in the shade. It could be worse. I'm in the shade, so I'm just chilling. Charging from a charge point charger. And yeah, this is what happens when you go where there's no superchargers. You get, you know, where you're hanging out. It's all right though. I'll get there eventually. I knew that was a risk I was taking. All right, I do not even know how to pronounce this city, but it's Palouse maybe? I'm at the Palouse City RV Park. Got this nice little fire pit. Got about 10 sites here. I ended up here because I ran out of charge. Did not expect to spend another night on the road. Was supposed to be at Nick's house today. But sometimes the unexpected happens. So here I am. I've got 50 amp charging, full full hookups, so not too bad of a gig if you gotta stop unexpectedly. House, and that is a moose right in his yard. I'm going to step out where we can see it better. Dude does not care, man. Just like he said, he's just like, hey, I'm chowing down. Don't bother me. Wow. Here we have the electric road trip trailer, and here you have a moose eating those flowers. What? You gotta be kidding me. Dude, when you started going up this, I was like, there's no way in hell I'm gonna make it. But those 20, oh shoot, oh crap, hold on. Ah, there we go. Those 29ers, man, they just roll over everything. This is awesome. These brakes are incredible. How's it going? Dude, that was so intense. Oh, that was fun. Oh, you're gonna go from up there?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were gonna step down and go.
No.
Oh, now you're making me slightly more nervous, dude.
Just leave.
You're gonna have to really push. Oh, yeah. Good to go. Dude, I ain't doing that. All right, I'm just gonna do this one again. Tried and true.
Woo! Man, I went deep that time. Yeah! Yeah!